Ash said if he won the world championship, he would marry me. That was 3 months ago. On that night in Los Angeles, drowned in golden rain and confetti, this genius ADC player who had just turned 22 stood before tens of thousands of screaming fans and took the microphone from the host. What do you want to do most next? The host asked. Ash on the screen was full of vigor. It was a young man's peak moment. Facing the camera, he shouted that word with a voice loud enough to shatter the arena's dome. Marriage. 2 words instantly set the entire social network ablaze. Twitter trending exploded. Countless fans flooded my DMs, and blessings drowned me like a tidal wave. The video I edited now has over 100 million views on YouTube. I sat on the floor of my Brooklyn apartment, pressing the replay button for the 101st time, listening to the deafening shouts of marriage in the video. I couldn't help but feel a sense of irony, because at that very moment, a blizzard was raging outside my window in New York City, and the old radiators in my apartment had completely broken down. I scooped a big spoonful of ice cream and shoved it into my mouth, trying to fight fire with fire. The sweet cream melted on my tongue, yet it felt like swallowing a chunk of ice, freezing my teeth with a sharp ache. Those vows of eternal love still echoed across the internet, yet in reality, the man who swore to marry me hadn't looked me in the eye once in 3 whole months. On the day he won the championship, I texted him, "When are you coming back to New York? I'll pick you up at the airport." 2 days later, he replied with one word, "Busy." After that, nothing but dead silence. I could only stalk him online like some kind of creep, searching for any trace of him. He really was busy. Busy popping champagne at yacht parties in Miami. Busy landing multi-million-dollar endorsement deals. Busy chatting and laughing with fans on his Twitch stream. Busy gambling big in Las Vegas with his teammates. For 90 whole days, he had time to like dozens of models on Instagram, but no time to reply to a single text from me, not even a simple emoji. This is what they call soft ghosting. He doesn't initiate the breakup, just fades from your life like a ghost, bit by bit, until you can't stand the cold shoulder anymore and leave on your own. So he doesn't have to bear the reputation of being a scumbag. But I'm not the kind of girl who sits around crying, waiting to be dumped. Catherine. I was already myself long before I pulled him out of the mud. I closed that video playing on loop, snuffing out that last pathetic shred of tenderness along with it. My phone screen suddenly lit up a promotional notification from Delta Airlines. I opened my chat with Ash one last time. The last message was still the one I sent a week ago. "What's the plan for Thanksgiving?" No reply. The ice cream in the carton was gone, and my heart had finally gone cold too. My fingers flew across the keyboard, and I hit send. We are done. No hesitation, no lengthy accusations, and no pathetic begging. After sending that message, I switched straight to the airlines app and booked a one-way ticket back home to Ohio. The moment the call connected, my mom's voice was full of pleasant surprise. "Catherine, coming back so early this year. Is Ash coming too?" Ash's parents divorced early on and each started new families, leaving no one to care for him. For the past 5 years, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, I would bring him back to Ohio. My parents doted on him like their own son, because he had a deceptively innocent face and knew how to sweet-talk elders with that honey-coated mouth of his. "He's not coming." I tried to keep my voice calm, not wanting her to hear my trembling on the other end. My mom's enthusiasm noticeably cooled by half. "Is it because he's become a big star and is too busy with work? Your dad was just watching the news the other day. Said the kid won some world championship. Is that why? I even ordered an extra turkey special. I that's his favorite." "Mom." I cut her off, took a deep breath, letting the cold air flood into my lungs. "I broke up with him." In that instant, the sense of being wronged surged up like a dam bursting. Tears spun wildly in my eyes as I bit down hard on my lower lip, tasting a hint of blood, desperately trying not to cry out loud. On the other end of the phone, there was a long 5 seconds of silence. "Baby." My mom's voice became unusually gentle, with no blame, only infinite acceptance. "It's okay. This is no big deal. A breakup is just a breakup. My daughter is so outstanding, it's his loss." Hearing those words, my tears finally burst through the dam. With a heavy nasal voice, I choked out, "I thought you'd scold me for not holding on to this relationship." "Why would I scold you?" My mom laughed, her laughter carrying a reassuring strength. "You're flesh that fell from my own body. You always used to protect him, saying his family background was pitiful, asking us to be more tolerant of him. But if this relationship makes you unhappy, then don't be in it anymore. Whatever decision you make, Mom will always stand by your side. Come home, baby. What do you want to eat?" "Mom will go to the supermarket right now. I want to eat your cinnamon apple pie." I said. "Okay, you can have as much as you want." My mom hurriedly hung up the phone, as if she was going to empty out the entire supermarket. Be safe on the road. Mom's waiting for you to come home. After hanging up, I dragged out that huge suitcase from the depths of the closet and began the final decluttering. Ash lived year-round in the teen-based dorms or five-star hotels. Even though this apartment was nominally our home, there weren't actually many things that belonged to him. A few brand collaboration hoodies, some expensive gaming peripherals, and a few pairs of unopened limited edition sneakers. Before, I thought these were traces of his presence. Now looking at them only made me feel annoyed. Half an hour later, all his stuff had been shoved into a cardboard box. I kicked the box out into the hallway by the apartment door, snapped a photo, and sent it to him. Your stuff is at the door. Have your assistant come pick it up unless you want it treated like trash. This time, he finally deigned to reply. Just 1 second before I was about to block him, his name popped up on the screen. Do you really have to pick a fight with me right now? I told you I'm busy, Catherine. Can you be a little more sensible? I'll come back once I'm done with this busy stretch. Stop with these dramatic stunts. Looking at those lines, I suddenly laughed out loud. This was the man I'd loved for 5 years. When I announced the end with my heart turned to ash, he thought I was just putting on a show for attention. He thought I was still that big sister who'd tolerate him without limits, always waiting for him in the same spot. I didn't reply. A light tap of my finger. Delete, block and stop service. The world was finally peaceful. I regretted it. I shouldn't have waited until today. I should have kicked him out of my life the first time he brushed me off with the word busy. The day I left New York, the blizzard was fiercer than the forecast had predicted. I wrapped a thick down jacket over my cashmere coat and dragged my suitcase out the apartment door. The hallway was cold as an icebox, and that cardboard box full of Ash's belongings still stood there lonely by the door, like an unclaimed joke. What an eyesore. When I passed by, I couldn't help but give that box another kick. Meow. A faint, extremely weak cry suddenly came from behind the box. My footsteps faltered, and I stopped. This was the 5th floor. Normally no animals would ever come up here. I leaned in for a closer look and found something dirty huddled in the gap between the box and the corner of the wall. It was a kitten, soaking wet and trembling all over. It looked only a few months old, and I had no idea how it had snuck into this old apartment building. It had curled itself into a tiny ball, trying to leach a little warmth from the cardboard box filled with luxury goods. Its eyes were half open, half closed, its body shaking violently, as if it would stop breathing any second. In that instant, my mind suddenly flashed back to a scene from 5 years ago. Back then, I had just graduated from Columbia University, a passionate intern reporter, and Ash had just turned 18, regarded as a prodigy for his defiant face and aggressive playstyle. Yet after making a mistake in a match, he was cyberbullied across the entire internet and benched by his team. When I ran into him in the back alley of a rundown internet cafe, he was sitting next to a trash can, arms wrapped around himself, head buried in his knees. It was raining that day too, the icy rain soaking through his thin team jersey. He looked just like a homeless stray cat, abandoned by the whole world. I handed him an umbrella. He looked up, those eyes filled with weariness and shattered longing. This little kitten now was too much like Ash back then. The same wretchedness, the same will to survive, the same heartbreak. I glanced at my phone 3 hours until my flight to Cleveland took off. Reason told me I had a cleanliness obsession. I was in a hurry, and this cat might bring me trouble. I hardened my heart, turned around and walked toward the stairwell, but after taking 2 steps, that faint meow hooked my ankle like a claw. In this freezing weather where water turned to ice, if I ignored it, it wouldn't survive tonight. Ash wasn't worth saving anymore, but this cat was innocent. I stopped, cursed silently in my head, then turned back. I took off the expensive wool scarf from my neck and carefully wrapped the trembling little creature. It was well behaved, didn't struggle, just instinctively burrowed toward the source of warmth, those tiny cold paws resting gently on my wrist. I searched on Google Maps for the nearest 24-hour high-end pet hospital. 10 minutes later, I rushed into the clinic carrying my mud-soaked scarf, give it the best examination and treatment, and arrange a month of boarding service. I slapped my Amex Black card on the counter. Because Ash was still a substitute player with no income, we had to pinch every penny. We ate discounted pizza and took Greyhound buses between cities. But things are different now. These past few years, I'm not just the woman behind Ash. I quit my journalist job and became one of the earliest tech and commentary YouTubers. My channel has millions of subscribers, and my income is enough to buy a nice apartment in Manhattan. I have the ability to save any life I want to save, without depending on anyone. After getting all this done, I hurried to JFK Airport. Sitting in the Delta first-class lounge, holding a warm latte in my hands, watching the heavy snow swirling outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. I felt an unprecedented sense of calm. First class was spacious and comfortable. Flight attendants handed over hot towels with smiles. I remembered when I used to accompany Ash to minor league tournaments to save money. We'd cram into economy class for over 10 hours. And every time I got off the plane my back felt like it was broken. Back then he would guiltily massage me, swearing that one day he'd let me fly on a private jet. Now he can afford a private jet, but the person by his side is no longer me. Actually, breaking up isn't so bad. At least I no longer have to wrong myself to adapt to his poverty, or put up with his arrogance after getting rich overnight. Back at my old home in Ohio, the air was filled with the familiar smell of burning firewood. My parents very tacitly stopped mentioning Ash's name. I lived like a princess at home, eating then sleeping, sleeping then eating, helping my mom tend to the greenhouse and the garden, keeping my dad company watching football games. That New York that broke my heart seemed to have become a memory from the last century. I also gave the little cat left behind in New York a name, Lucky. I hope it knows how to cherish others' kindness better than its predecessor, that guy named Ash. After the vacation ended, I finally mustered up the courage to log into my YouTube backend. As a content creator, disappearing for a month is fatal, but I needed this time to heal. The inbox in the backend had already exploded. The red 99 was glaring. Catherine, what happened to that proposal video you edited? Is there any new development? Ash seems a bit off lately. Among a pile of fan messages, one from a familiar avatar stood out conspicuously. It was Ash's alt account. Only I knew about it. Catherine, do you have to be this heartless? You actually dared to block me. I bought you a gift in Miami. Didn't you always want that bag? Answer the phone. Without a doubt, even after being blocked on phone and main account, he could still find ways to harass me. I looked at those commanding words, feeling nothing inside. He still thought that with a bag, or a command, he could make me obediently go back. He had no idea that this time I wasn't throwing a tantrum, I was really done with him. Expressionless, I moved my mouse, clicked report, then blocked him. New Year's already passed. Keeping an ex's contact info is like keeping a bag of expired garbage. ITLL only stink. When I told my mom I was going back to New York, she was baking cookies in the kitchen. She stopped what she was doing, turned around to look at me, her eyes full of determination. Go. Everyone has their own path to walk. My daughter might choose the wrong person, but she'll never choose the wrong path, and she definitely won't fall into the same pit twice. If you're not happy in New York, come back anytime. Ohio may be small, but there'll always be a room for you. So, on the last day of the holiday, I boarded the flight to New York once again. This time, no waiting, no hoping, just a brand new start. After getting off the plane, I called an Uber and headed straight for the pet hospital. I was going to pick up my Lucky, but I never expected to run into the person I least wanted to see in the lobby of the pet hospital. Ash. He was wearing that signature team jersey, with sunglasses woven though they covered half his face. That natural arrogance of his made him instantly recognizable. And by his side was their team's support player, Zoe. I remember I once really wanted to get a cat, but Ash said he was allergic to cat fur, so I completely gave up on the idea. I didn't even dare to pet stray cats on the street. But now, that man who claimed to be allergic was standing at the counter, playing with an expensive Bengal cat in his hands, his face full of doting affection. So it turns out, not only was the marriage a lie, even the allergy was a lie too. I pulled my hat brim low, trying to sneak in through the side door to pick up Lucky, but fate always seems to love playing jokes. The receptionist nurse at the pet hospital recognized me and called out loudly, "Miss Catherine, are you here to pick up Lucky? It's recovered wonderfully." That shout made the entire lobby go quiet. Ash whipped around, took off his sunglasses, those deep eyes fixed on me, as if he'd seen a ghost, or as if he'd spotted prey he thought had lost. Catherine, he called my name, his voice hoarse. I didn't look back, picked up the cat carrier the nurse handed me, placed it on my suitcase, and turned to walk out. I hadn't taken 2 steps when a hand grabbed the handle of my suitcase. "Why did you change the apartment door lock code?" Ash's voice was laced with suppressed anger. "I can't get in." I was forced to stop. Lucky in my arms seemed to sense the threat and let out a low growl. I patted the cat carrier soothingly, turned around, and looked at him coldly. "I already told you, we broke up. The apartment lease is under my name, and am the one paying the rent. Do I need to report to you when I change the password to my own home?" I reached out to pry his fingers off, trying to take back my suitcase, but he gripped it tightly and refused to let go, his eyes sinister. "If I didn't agree, it doesn't count as a breakup. Catherine, stop making a fuss. It's just 3 months without replying to messages. Right. I was doing it for work. For our future. What a high-sounding excuse. Just as I was about to take out my phone to call 911, Zoe came over. She was holding that leopard-patterned cat in her arms. Catherine, you're finally back. Zoe looked at me, her expression somewhat complicated, with both sympathy and a hint of helplessness. Ash had never acknowledged me in public, except for that boast after winning the championship. He also never took me to meet his friends. Zoe was the only teammate who knew the inside story of our relationship. Ash brought me here specifically to buy you a gift. Zoe sighed. He said you knew he was allergic so you never got a cat. He came here today specifically to pick out this most expensive Bengal cat, saying he wanted to give you a surprise as an apology. A surprise. I looked at that expensive purebred cat, feeling only irony. This is indeed a surprise. I sneered. Now I know his allergy is selective. Allergic to stray cats on the street, but miraculously cured when it comes to fancy cats worth thousands of dollars. Right. Ash's expression shifted slightly, but he quickly adjusted his face and adopted a compromising tone. Okay, I was wrong before. He let go of his suitcase and took a step closer to me. It's hard to get a cab now, and it's snowing outside. My driver is at the door. Let me take you home. Let's have a proper talk. No need. I took a step back, widening the distance between Ash and me. This simple action cracked a fissure in the confidence on his face. I've already called an Uber. I held up my phone and waved it. The screen showing the driver would arrive in 2 minutes. Ash's brows furrowed tightly, that habitual need for control making him extremely uncomfortable with my refusal. Catherine, don't be so childish. It's snowing outside. My car is right at the door. Much more comfortable than the cab you called. I don't mind what car I take, I said coldly, my gaze sweeping over Zoe standing awkwardly beside him. But I do mind being in the same enclosed space with my ex. Seeing this, Zoe hurried forward to smooth things over, linking her arm through mine. Catherine, really, stop being mad. You don't know, the day Ash got your breakup text, he got completely wasted at a bar in Miami, and ended up in the ER the next day with alcohol poisoning. He spent the entire Christmas holiday hooked up to N4. She was trying to use this playing the victim tactic to arouse my sympathy, just like countless times before. But I felt nothing inside, even found it somewhat amusing. Alcohol poisoning. I raised an eyebrow at Ash. Sounds like he had a great time in Miami. If he was really heartbroken, he should have flown back to New York to find me right away. Instead of drinking himself into the hospital, Ash was called out. His face couldn't hold up anymore, and he growled through gritted teeth. Who do you think I did this for? I went drinking because you said you wanted to break up. Don't blame your indulgence on me. I shook off Zoe's hand, my tone terrifyingly calm. Ash, we're both adults. When you chose not to reply to my messages for 3 months, you should have expected this outcome. Just then, my Uber arrived. A black car pulled up by the curb, and the driver honked the horn. I stopped paying attention to this suffocating duo, turned around and dragged my suitcase toward the car. Ash wanted to chase after me, but Zoe grabbed his sleeve. Through the car window, I saw him furiously kick the roadside trash can in the wind and snow, like a cranky giant baby who didn't get his candy. Back at the Brooklyn apartment, that familiar coldness hit me again, but this was no longer my home. On the flight back, I had already contacted a real estate agent. The me now doesn't need to live attached to anyone's memories. Since this place is full of my past with Ash, I'll just move somewhere else. I have money, I have the ability, I can go wherever I want. That week, I completed my move with astonishing efficiency. I signed a lease for a new apartment on the Upper West Side, the kind of upscale place with a 24-hour doorman and central heating so strong you'd want to wear short sleeves. The view from the window was no longer Brooklyn's drab brick walls, but an excellent vista overlooking Central Park. After getting lucky settled, I mailed the keys to my old apartment back to the landlord, completely severing the last physical connection to the past. However, Ash clearly wasn't going to let go that easily. Ever since we ran into each other at the pet hospital, he started frantically adding me with different burner accounts, emailing me, and even stuffing my work inbox full of apology letters. The content was nothing but the usual. I know I was wrong. I was too young back then, didn't know better. How about I give you that cat? Let's start over. I'll really marry you this time. Looking at all this belated affection, I just felt disgusted, until one day, I went downstairs to pick up my takeout and ran into that ghost who just wouldn't go away in the lobby. Ash was wearing a black hoodie and a face mask, holding a familiar bag in his hand. He had obviously tracked down my new address through some means. How did you get in here? I stood warily by the elevator, not stepping out. That's not important. He took off his mask, revealing a haggard face with sunken eye sockets. She clearly hadn't been doing too well. "Catherine, I have something for you." He held up the bag in his hand. It was Tiffany's signature blue. "This is the diamond ring from the series you've always wanted." His voice carried a hint of flattery. "That day when I sent you the photo asking which one you liked, I actually bought all of them. As soon as you calm down, we can go get our marriage certificate right away." I looked at that bag, feeling nothing but absurdity in my heart. Once I had longed so desperately for this moment, longed for him to kneel on one knee, longed for that marriage certificate. But now, looking at the expensive ring in his hand, I only felt it was like currency used to purchase my dignity. "I don't want it anymore," I said. "Why?" He didn't understand, even somewhat angry. "Isn't this what you've always dreamed of? I'm giving it to you now. What more could you be dissatisfied with?" "Ash," I sighed. "What do you think marriage is? A reward, charity, or a safe harbor you find after you've had enough fun?" He was at a loss for words. "That day at the pet hospital, you said you'd change, that you'd reply to my messages anytime." I looked straight into his eyes. "Then let me ask you, when you're playing in a match, can you reply to my messages?" He froze. "When you're fully focused battling in the rift, when you're facing tens of thousands of cheering spectators, can you take out your phone and reply to me with 'I'm busy'? That's different. That's work," he argued. "To me, it's the same," I said calmly. "You said you could do it, but actually you can't. You can't respond at any time. You can't put another person in a more important position than yourself. So, don't easily promise things you can't deliver, whether it's marriage or anything else. Besides," I pointed at the security guard in the lobby, "if you don't leave, they'll call the police and file for a restraining order. This is serious. It could ruin your career." At the mention of his career, Ash finally got scared. He took a step back, his eyes filled with disbelief. "You're gonna call the cops on me?" Ash, Ace, you'd ruin me over something this small. You ruined yourself." The elevator door slowly closed, shutting his stunned face out of sight, but I didn't expect he still had a trick up his sleeve. In the last second before the elevator doors closed, a hand reached in and forced them open. Ash squeezed into the elevator, breathing heavily, an almost obsessive gleam flickering in his eyes. "Fine. Breaking up is fine," he said through gritted teeth. "Give me back my stuff, and I'll leave." "Your stuff was left at the old apartment entrance. The garbage truck already took it." "Not that junk." He stared at me deadened. "The keyboard. I want that red mechanical keyboard." My memory was instantly pulled back to 3 years ago. That was when he had just made his comeback playing in the minor league. I looked up countless guides online, scrimped and saved for 2 months, and had someone custom make a red mechanical keyboard. I personally picked the color scheme for every keycap, symbolizing that he would dominate the battlefield. That keyboard had accompanied him from the basement all the way to the world stage. I didn't take it. I frowned. "I cleaned up thoroughly when I moved. I didn't see any keyboard." "Impossible." He raised his voice. "That's my lucky charm. You said you'd keep it for me forever." "Lucky charm?" I sneered. "Didn't you stop using it a long time ago?" I remembered a few months ago, fans were shipping him and Zoe, and dug up that they were using the same keyboard. I asked him about it at the time, and he said it was because the sponsor required it, and that red keyboard was too old with bad feel. So, he was using matching couples items with me and Zoe at the same time, locked my heartfelt gift in a cabinet to gather dust, and now he comes asking me for his lucky charm. "I don't have it," I emphasized again. "Maybe you lost it when you moved bases at some point. Maybe you gave it to some female fan. Anyway, it's not with me." "You're lying." He suddenly reached out and grabbed my wrist, with surprising strength. "It must be with you. You just want to keep it as a memento. You still have feelings for me. Let go." I felt a sharp pain, not just physical, but psychological too. This person I once loved deeply was now being violent with me. "I want." "Not unless you give me the keyboard." Just then, the elevator reached the top floor. The doors opened. Without any hesitation, I lifted my foot wearing Doc Martens and stomped hard on the top of his foot. "Fuck." He cried out in pain and instinctively let go. I seized the opportunity to push him out of the elevator and reached back to press the close button. Through the slowly closing door gap, I saw him crouching on the ground clutching his foot. That face that once captivated me twisted into a mess. "Catherine, you'll definitely regret this," he roared in the hallway. I leaned against the elevator wall, my heart pounding violently. "Regret? No." I looked down at my wrist scratched red, with only one thought in my mind. Good thing I ran fast. This man is not only selfish, but also has a potential for violence. He's not some genius boy who needs saving. He's a complete and utter jerk, And I had finally seen through this completely. Ash's harassment didn't stop because of that elevator confrontation. Instead, it became even more persistent, haunting me like a ghost. He started playing the victim on social media. He posted a photo on Twitter of his hand wrapped in bandages, with the caption, "Old injury flared up, feeling really down. Sometimes I really miss that person who would always stay by my side no matter what." The fans below immediately went wild. "Is it the girlfriend? Heard they broke up. That woman must be the one who hurt Ace like this. Feel so bad for you, bro. That woman doesn't deserve you at all." Public opinion instantly swung in his favor. I became the vicious ex-girlfriend who abandoned the injured genius and was chasing vanity. My DMs were flooded with insults, and someone even doxed my new address. But I didn't respond. Right now, I was busy doing something more meaningful. Ever since I rescued Lucky, I started paying attention to stray animal rescue organizations in New York. I discovered this was a huge yet overlooked group. Many cats and dogs like Lucky died in the bitter cold, with no one caring. I decided to use my video production skills to speak up for these little lives. I contacted a stray cat shelter in Brooklyn and started filming a documentary series about trap-neuter turn. During the day, I wore heavy work clothes, placing traps in dirty alleys, and at night I stayed up all night editing footage. Lucky became the star of my videos. It transformed from that dying ball of fur into a sleek, clingy yet slender big cat. Its transformation healed countless netizens, and it healed me too. After the first episode of my new series Lucky and the Forgotten Corners went online, it quickly made it onto YouTube's trending list, not just because of the cute pet, but because of that real, raw yet warm narrative style in the video. "This blogger looks so familiar. Isn't she the one who edited Ash's championship video before? Oh my god, it really is her. Didn't expect her to be so caring. She looks way more confident now than when she was posting those love-brained videos before." Public opinion started to quietly shift. People discovered that I wasn't just Ace's girlfriend, I was Catherine, a talented creator with an independent personality. Just when my career was thriving, Zoe suddenly contacted me. She sent me an audio file with a note. "Catherine, I think you should listen to this. We recorded this at the victory celebration in Paris after winning the championship. Everyone had too much to drink at the time, and I originally just wanted to record it for vlog material. But later, I think it's better to let you know the truth." I put on my headphones and pressed play. The background was noisy music and French conversations, clearly in an upscale restaurant. "Ace, are you really getting married this time?" a male voice asked, sounding like their team's jungler. "Yeah, you announced it in front of the whole world." Catherine must have cried tears of joy, right? Then came Ash's lazy, slightly drunken voice. "Marriage? No way." My heart skipped a beat. "I was just saying that on stage for fun. You guys know, fans these days eat up that devoted boyfriend persona," Ash said with a laugh, his voice full of disdain. "Besides, Catherine is 5 years older than me. Women her age are the most insecure. If I didn't say that, she'd definitely throw a fit at me. Aren't you afraid she'll take it seriously? So what if she does?" Ash's voice became confident and arrogant. "She can't leave me. She's been raising me like a son for 5 years. She lost herself long ago. Even if I don't marry her, as long as I crook my finger or act pitiful, she'll obediently come back. Besides," he paused, a hint of cruel amusement in his tone, "marriage is the grave of love. I'm only 22, worth tens of millions. Why would I hang myself on one tree? I haven't had enough fun yet." A burst of laughter erupted around him. "Damn Ace, you really see things clearly." The audio cut off abruptly. I took off my headphones, my hands trembling uncontrollably. So in his eyes, my 5 years of devotion were nothing but the acts of a cheap nanny with no sense of self. So that proposal promise that moved me to tears was just a tool he used to build his image while pacifying me, an older leftover woman. So from beginning to end, he had been calculating, using me, and despising me. In that moment, I didn't cry. Anger burned away all the sorrow. I only felt incredibly clear-headed, clearer than ever before. I saved that audio recording and made 3 backups. This wasn't just evidence, it was a tombstone for my foolish past. That boy Ash who once shivered in the rainy night with clear eyes had long since died in his desire for fame. Now he was nothing but a monster wearing human skin. A few days later, my new video "The Price of Being a Stray" went live. At the end of the video, I included a monologue. In the shot, I sat by the window holding Lucky, looking out at the countless lights of New York. Many people ask me why I care about stray cats. Because I once thought that as long as I gave enough love and warmth, I could save a wandering soul. But I later discovered that some wandering is in their nature, and some coldness is instinct. Cats know gratitude. give them a bite of food, and they'll spend their whole life with you. But some people, you give them everything, and they'll just think you're a fool. So, save your love for lives that deserve it, whether it's cats or yourself. This video didn't mention Ash's name, but every word slapped him across the face like a palm. In the comments section, some fans keenly sensed something. Sis is saying more than she's saying. Wasn't Ace playing the victim before? Why does it feel like there's more to the story? And at this moment, Ash was facing the biggest crisis of his career. The team suffered 4 consecutive losses after the spring split began. As the core carry, Ash was in extremely poor form, making mistake after mistake. He died repeatedly in matches, even making rookie mistakes like flashing into walls. Online, overwhelming criticism drowned out the praise that once was. This is the world champion, playing like a bronze. Stop dating and just retire already. Is Ace washed up? Amidst all this criticism, Ash did the stupidest thing. During a post-match interview, when a reporter asked about the reason for his declining performance, he actually publicly shifted the blame. I've been in a bad mood lately, some troubles in my personal life. He faced the camera, looking gloomy. After some people left, they took my lucky charm. Without that keyboard, I've completely lost my touch. He was actually still bringing up that damn keyboard. He was trying to blame all his failures on my heartlessness and taking away his luck. He was directing public opinion to cyberbully me. Looking at that disgusting face on the livestream, I gripped the mouse in my hand tightly. Ash, since you wanna play, let's play big. You want clout, I'll give you clout. You want the truth, I'll give you the truth. I opened the audio file Zoe sent me and clicked upload. I didn't post the audio directly online. That would be too impulsive, and it'd be easy for the PR team to claim it was fabricated. I sent it to Zoe, with a message attached. If anyone asks about the Lucky Charm thing during the All-Star Weekend livestream in 2 days, I don't mind making this recording the BGM for the entire internet. I knew Zoe was a smart person, and I also knew her position on the team wasn't secure. Ash right now was like a sinking Titanic, and Zoe wouldn't be dumb enough to go down with him. Besides, Zoe was a good girl. She had privately told me that Ash had verbally abused her multiple times during scrims for her misplays, and even blamed that losing streak on her. She'd had enough. Sure enough, in less than 10 minutes, Zoe replied with an okay gesture. 2 days later was the All-Star Weekend, a grand celebration for the North American esports scene. All the top players would gather together, holding exhibition matches and interviews in front of millions of viewers. Ash was there. Of course, even though his reputation had taken a hit recently, he was still the core of the league's star-making campaign. That night, I was brushing Lucky's fur while watching the livestream on my iPad. When it came to the interview segment, the host predictably brought up the keyboard incident that had been making waves recently. Ace, about that lucky keyboard you mentioned, a lot of fans are really concerned. Does it really have that big of an impact on you? Ash sat under the spotlight, putting on a deeply affectionate victim's face. Yes, he lowered his eyes, his voice deep. It was a gift from someone very important to me. It's not just a peripheral, it's my emotional anchor. Now that it's gone, I feel like I've lost a part of my soul. Sighs of sympathy came from the audience, and quite a few female fans even had tears welling up in their eyes. So do you think this losing streak is because of that? Somewhat, I guess. Ash smiled bitterly, but I'll get myself back in shape. As long as that keyboard comes back, I believe I can find my old self again. What a perfect script. The sentimental, vulnerable, wrong genius. Just then, Zoe, who was sitting next to Ash, suddenly picked up the microphone. Actually, Zoe's voice trembled slightly but was unusually clear. About that keyboard, I have something to say. The whole venue quieted down. Ash turned to look at her, a hint of warning in his eyes. That red keyboard isn't even with Catherine. Zoe took a deep breath, as if steeling herself for something. 3 months ago, when we were moving to the new base, Ash thought the keyboard was too old. The keycaps were all worn out, and he just tossed it straight into the trash. What? The host was stunned. The audience erupted in an uproar. Ash's face instantly turned deathly pale. He abruptly stood up trying to grab Zoe's microphone. Zoe, what nonsense are you spouting? Have you had too much to drink? But Zoe nimbly dodged, speaking rapidly. I even asked you if you wanted to keep it as a memento, and you said why keep this piece of junk? Sponsors will send new ones anyway. The base's surveillance footage from that day should still be retrievable. Also, Zoe turned toward the camera, staring straight into Ash's eyes that had widened in terror. I recorded what you said in Paris too. You said the marriage was just to build your image. You said Catherine couldn't leave you. You said you only proposed for the clout. Enough. Ash roared and charged at Zoe, completely losing control, but it was already too late. On the large screen at the venue, an audio waveform diagram suddenly appeared. It was the bombshell that Zoe had given to the director in advance. Ash's frivolous, arrogant voice spread throughout the entire venue through the top-tier sound system, and reached the ears of millions of viewers around the world. Marriage, how could that be possible? She's the most insecure at that age. I'm only 22. I haven't had enough fun yet. A deathly silence fell over the entire venue. A few seconds later, boos erupted like a tsunami. Scumbag, liar, get off the stage. Ash stood at the center of the stage, trembling all over. He looked at the faces in the audience, people who had once cheered for him but now wore nothing but disgust, then glanced back at the glaring audio waveform on the big screen. His devoted lover persona had completely collapsed. He was finished. I turned off the iPad, got up from the sofa, and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Manhattan outside the window was ablaze with lights, like a brilliant river of stars, and the boy who once stood on top of the world had finally, at this moment, crashed hard into the mud. Did it feel good? Honestly, it wasn't the thrill of revenge I had imagined. It was more of a sense of relief, like cutting out a tumor that had been growing on my heart. It would hurt. It would leave a scar, but I could finally breathe freely. That night, Ash stayed on the trending topics all night long. Ace fake proposal, real fan scam. Ace throws away lucky keyboard. Zoe confirms Ace is a scumbag. The team released a statement overnight, announcing an internal investigation into Ash and suspending all his competition activities. Sponsors terminated their contracts one after another, and the multi-million-dollar endorsement deals that had been set fell through. Ash went from being everyone's golden boy to a rat crossing the street. And I, as the victim and exposer of all this, was once again thrust into the spotlight. But this time, it was no longer insults. My YouTube channel gained 1 million subscribers overnight. Countless netizens flooded my comment section to apologize, praising my clarity and courage. But I didn't respond to any topics about Ash. I posted a new update, a photo of me and Lucky in the sunlight. Caption: let the past be wiped clean. Love and hate as you please, whether it's a stray cat or a stray person. Once they find a home, they're no longer strays. However, Ash didn't just disappear like that. A week later, on my way to a stray animal charity gala, I received a call from an unknown number. Catherine. Ash's voice came through the phone, sounding like he was drunk, or maybe like he'd been crying. You won. Are you satisfied now? I never wanted to beat you, I said calmly. I just didn't want to lose myself. I have nothing left now. He choked up. The team wants to terminate my contract, and I'll have to pay millions in penalty fees. All the sponsors are suing me. Even my so-called dad called to yell at me for embarrassing him. Catherine, I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have thrown away that keyboard. I shouldn't have said those shitty things. Please, help me. Okay, as long as you put out a statement saying that recording was fake, saying we were just having a fight, I can turn things around. I can give you all my money. I'll listen to everything you say from now on. Let's get married. Okay, this time it's for real. Even at this moment, all he was thinking about was how to make a comeback, how to use me to save his career. He hadn't repented at all. He was just out of options. Ash, I sighed. This was the last time I would call his name. Do you know, that keyboard wasn't actually custom-made by some expert I found. What? He froze. I made it myself, I said. To save you money, I bought the cheapest switches, got a second-hand soldering iron, watched online videos, and soldered each key on one by one. I got several blisters on my hands, but I never told you. That red paint, I had to apply it 5 times to get that color. When I gave it to you, you said it was the best keyboard in the world. You said you would use it to win the championship. The other end of the line fell into dead silence. The moment you threw it in the trash, you had already thrown me away too. So, don't come looking for me anymore. Between us, there's not even hatred left. I hung up the phone and blocked this last number. Outside the car window, the streets of New York were still bustling with people coming and going. Everyone was rushing around to make a living, and no one would linger too long over a dead love. I smoothed out the hem of my gown and gave a slight smile to myself in the rearview mirror. At tonight's charity gala, I would be going on stage to speak on behalf of the Stray Animal Rescue Organization. That was where I was supposed to be. As for Ash, that was a past life. Ash completely lost it. After being dropped by his team and facing massive compensation fees, instead of keeping a low profile and reflecting on himself, he chose self-destruction. He started frequenting the sketchiest underground bars in Brooklyn, binge drinking, gambling, and someone even caught photos of him hanging out with some shady characters. News about him moved from the sports section to the tabloids. Former esports star gets wasted late at night, vomits on the street. Ace allegedly involved in underground gambling. O's loan sharks. Watching the once-spirited young man turn into this neither human nor ghost mess, I couldn't help but sigh. But that was all. Until that Friday night. I was at home editing a new video when I suddenly got a call from Zoe. "Catherine, something happened." Zoe's voice was on the verge of tears. Ash got into a fight. At a bar in Brooklyn. "Then call the cops." "Why are you calling me?" I frowned. "No, it's because of you." Zoe was so anxious she was barely coherent. "Those guys recognized Ash and started mocking him, calling him a pretty boy who climbed up by riding a woman's coattails. And they also said a lot of things insulting you. Really nasty stuff, saying you're, Ash had been holding back the whole time, until that guy said he was gonna post your private photos online, even though it was fake. He just snapped, grabbed a bottle and smashed it at him. Now the police are here, and so is the ambulance." Ash's hand, his right hand is covered in blood. "Looks like he's hurt really bad." Hearing the words right hand, my heart instinctively sank. For professional esports players, hands are everything, but I quickly calmed down. "Zoe, there's no point in me going now. I'm not a doctor, nor a lawyer, but when he was being carried into the ambulance, he kept calling your name," Zoe said, crying. "Catherine, even just for old time's sake, please go see him. This might be his last time appearing in the public eye." The last time. Those 4 words struck a chord in me. I thought of that rainy night 5 years ago, that boy with clear eyes. I thought of the hardships we endured together, the dreams we shared, although that boy was already dead. As a witness, perhaps I should go see him off one last time. I also wanted to see with my own eyes how this farce would end. I threw on my coat and took a taxi to the hospital. It was chaos outside the emergency room. Reporters, police, and onlookers packed the hallway. Wearing a mask and hat, I quietly made my way through the crowd and found Zoe huddled in a corner. "How is he?" I asked. The doctor said, "Comminuted fracture of the right metacarpals, ruptured tendons," Zoe said, wiping her tears. "Even if it heals, he'll struggle just to hold chopsticks, let alone play professionally." Comminuted fracture. This wasn't just the end of a career, but the end of a life. Ash couldn't do anything except play games. Just then, the door to the operating room opened. Ash was wheeled out. His right hand was wrapped in thick bandages, his face was bruised black and blue, and his eyes were hollow like 2 black holes. The moment he saw me, a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes, then quickly faded away. He tried to open his mouth to speak, but the anesthesia hadn't worn off yet, and he could only make slurred sounds. I walked up and stood beside the gurney, looking down at him from above. At this moment, I felt no sympathy, no satisfaction, only a calm that came when the dust had settled. "Was it worth it?" I asked. He looked at me, tears sliding down from the corners of his eyes, mixing with the bloodstains on his face. Looking utterly wretched, he struggled to lift his uninjured left hand, trying to touch the hem of my clothes, but I stepped back and avoided him. "To defend the reputation of someone you've already lost, you sacrificed your only valuable hand." I shook my head. "Ash, you're always so impulsive, so childish. If you had learned to cherish things sooner, learned to control your emotions sooner, learned to take responsibility like a man sooner, we wouldn't have come to this point. Now, it's all too late." He opened his mouth, finally squeezing out a few clear words. No need to apologize," I said. "We're even now." The police came over, ready to take him to give a statement. Although he beat someone up to defend his reputation, causing serious injury was a fact, and along with the previous gambling rumors, he was facing legal sanctions and a hefty civil compensation. The cart slowly moved, Ash's gaze stuck on me the whole time, until it turned the corner and completely disappeared. When I walked out of the hospital, it started raining outside. Rainy nights in New York are always this cold, but I didn't feel cold. I knew that from now on, there would never be a person named Ash in my world again. The kitten Lucky that I rescued was still waiting for me at home. That was the life that truly needed me and was worth my love. A few days later, Ash posted his last update on social media. No playing the victim. No excuses, just a short piece of text about the recent rumors. "I want to clarify. Catherine is a wonderful girl who stood by me through the hardest times. I was the one who didn't know how to cherish her. I was the one who betrayed our relationship. I brought this on myself. All the fault lies with me. It has nothing to do with her. Please stop disturbing her life. As for me, I will bear all legal responsibility and officially retire. I'm sorry for disappointing everyone." This was the most manly thing he had ever done in his life. I didn't like it, nor did I comment. I just silently removed him completely from my follow list, along with all those memories of youth, packed away and sealed together. My new video Lucky's Fantastic Journey Season 2 went live. This time, I was no longer fighting alone. I founded my own stray animal rescue foundation and recruited many volunteers. My career was thriving. My life was full of sunshine and hope. And that genius boy named Ash, like a meteor streaking across the night sky, shone briefly, then plunged into endless darkness. This is probably the best ending. Everyone has to pay the price for their own choices. He paid his price, and I won back my life.